A Wyatt Johnston hat trick lifts the Stars over the Golden Knights in overtime, but what are the ramifications of Mark Stone's collision on Miro Heiskanen? I'll give my thoughts and how the Stars' plans have suddenly changed.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Wyatt Johnston put the Stars on his back last night, a hat trick for the 21-year-old to deliver the dagger in overtime against the Golden Knights by a final score of 4-3, a massive win for the Dallas Stars, but a huge blow in the contest as well. A very bittersweet win because Miro Heiskanen was knocked out of the game by Mark Stone. What went on with that play? I'll give my take. There are thousands of takes on social media. We'll try to break it down on today's episode and how the Stars' plans have suddenly changed with the loss of Miro Heiskanen. So much to get into on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Stars. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the Mark Stone hit. We'll get into that in just a bit because I'm sure we'll spend plenty of time here in the next few days discussing that one. But let's first dive into the action of last night and the meat and potatoes of the contest. Wyatt Johnston is elite two-way center iceman / winger. What a game he had last night. Was all over the place, making plays for Dallas. The Stars really had to weather the storm in the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game as a combined 3 goals in the first 5 minutes. It was really pacey. It was a skating game. There was a lot of room out there, especially through neutral ice, which is a bit rare for a game between the Stars and Golden Knights, and it really quieted down from there. But an excellent job by the Stars to just hang in there. A sort of prototypical away game for Dallas over the last few seasons. They just kind of hang around. They got excellent net minding from Jake Ottinger. They have a real tough time trying to slow down Eichel and Barbashev. That trio was so good for Vegas last night. And, of course, they combined on what we thought was the game's first goal. Barbashev was offside, and then they just come back moments later, and they eventually cash in as Eichel got loose. There was 3 Stars just sort of puck watching, and Eichel's right in front of the net alone. Like, that's not a good recipe, and he was able to bury that one. But the Stars answered quite quickly with a beautiful goal and set up by Matt Duchene. Maverick Bourque was on the business end. Just really, really solid stuff from Bourque, who continues to grow and just make things happen. So smart, got to the slot. He was set up. He was open for Duchene. It was a beautiful pass from Dutchy to set up Bourque. But, man, Wyatt Johnston was spectacular. What a contest. And this is sort of the Wyatt Johnston I had been hyping up all summer long and what I think his potential can be. And that really is a top 10 player in the NHL. The foundation, the strengths of his game, his ability to play center and wing, win faceoffs, score consistently, although that hasn't been the case this season. I mean, what a game for him. And it was so sweet. It was so sweet to deliver the game winner to via Wyatt Johnston. I mean, just a wide open net, slam dunk between him and Rope. It was fantastic. Pete DeBoer put the big boys back together in that third period. So we saw Rope, Robo, and Johnston. But, I mean, Johnston was all over the place in the contest. He was excellent. At 5-on-5, Johnston, the shots for versus shots against were 10-5. He had 8 scoring chances himself. If you factor in all situations, Wyatt Johnston ended up with a total of 14 scoring chances. That was the most of any other Dallas Star. 14. If you look at the individual scoring chances, he had 3. But you factor in his line mates on the night, whether that was Rope and Robo, or he was playing down with Dodonov. I mean, just really strong stuff from him. He is so fun to watch because he skates so well. I mean, look at his shorthanded goal. What a play defensively by Rope Hens on the penalty kill. I mean, that was a critical juncture where the game could have gotten well out of hand for Dallas if Vegas was able to capitalize on that ensuing 5-on-4 after already scoring the third on the power play at 5-on-3 by Dorofeev. What a play by Rope. And then those two just turned on the Jets, and Johnston went right to the puddle. Credit to Rope for getting the shot away and producing a rebound off the pads. That's the POP, the pass off pads. And boom, Johnston is there for the slam dunk. His third goal is just it's glorious. It's slippery. It's succulent. It's sexy. All of the superlatives. Just an absolute snipe on Hill. Again, Rope Hens is there with the assist, as he was all night long. He had 3 assists on the 3 goals for Wyatt Johnston. Just excellent stuff from Johnston. And that's the type of game he can bring. He's a 200-foot player. He can take over games, especially against Vegas. He's been kryptonite for them a bit. He has been so good against the Golden Knights. That team seems to bring the best out of them, and no surprise with a hat trick. Had the highest game score on the night at 4.15. Rope was unbelievable. Credit to him for stepping up on Mark Stone too after the collision with Miro, which is no surprise, coming to the defense of his fellow Finn. Love to see that. And I thought the Stars really battled through a tough situation in order to get the win. They kept singing on the broadcast how the Stars have not won a game when trailing after 2 periods. They get the first one, and Wyatt Johnston was all over it. He becomes the league's 8th player on record to score a shorthanded tally and overtime winner in a hat-trick performance. He's the youngest player in franchise history to score a natural hat-trick, and that best Tyler Seguin, who was 21 years and 310 days. Wyatt Johnston, 21 years and 259 days. The goal was brilliant, and don't forget about the save. Don't forget about the save on Shea Theodore from Jake Ottinger with the shoulder. If that doesn't happen, or if that goes in, the game's over 15 seconds into overtime. But Otter comes up with a big save, which you sort of need those in overtime. One team gets one rush, unable to capitalize. It goes back the other way. And the Stars made beautiful work of Eichel, who's a really good defenseman, a really good forward defensively. I thought the Stars made him look very pedestrian on that little 2-on-1 between Wyatt and Rope. Aiden Hill was way out of the crease, but that's the Wyatt Johnston that we've come to know and love. He is as good as can be, and you put him with somebody like Rope Hens, that is a dynamic duo for years to come. It was such a massive win after what went on. You didn't play your best hockey game. I think that's what was really telling too. Didn't have their A game, but found a way to beat a really, really good team in Vegas. I thought it was just really, really good stuff. That second period, they were humming a bit. I thought Dallas was really good on the forecheck. They had a lot of extended zone shifts. They were funneling pucks towards Hill. They weren't able to cash in late in that period as they tried to tie it before the second intermission, but had a really strong second. And I just felt like kind of hung around. They ended up producing 22 scoring chances at 5-on-5, which was actually 5 less than Vegas. But you look at the expected goals for, Dallas had a higher expected goals for at 5-on-5 at 2.66. So if you look at some of the advanced numbers, that they thought Dallas did produce some more dangerous looks. I thought they did pretty good at getting to Hill and getting some chances in tight. There was a lot of rebounds up for grabs, and Dallas was sort of fishing around in front. And it was such a needed win, especially after the departure in the third period. With 13 minutes of Miro. And we'll get into that because there's so much to discuss. I have a lot of thoughts. I feel like it's been an emotional roller coaster. I wanted to record this morning because I felt that I needed to sleep on it and gather my thoughts before I was a bit emotional trying to explain it. So I feel like I have a more rational explanation or feelings on the matter. I don't know if a lot of my initial feelings or thoughts have changed, but I think I can put them in better words, is how I'll explain it. So let's get into the Mark Stone trip in quotations / collision / hit, lunging to Miro Heiskanen's knee and knocking him out for the foreseeable future. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, the Chiefs and the Eagles. Yes, the Chiefs going for the three-peat, and the Eagles, who I can't stand. And I know many of you can't stand the Chiefs, but I'm rocking with the Chiefs because anybody but the Eagles. That's how I view it. But anyways, there's no better way to get in on the action with FanDuel Sportsbook in a couple of weeks. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action with live betting all game long. You can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill of kickoff to the final whistle. Live play-by-play action. You can choose when you want to bet, and you can have so much fun. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's the icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll get scored with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. Alrighty, let's get into this. Since I'm sure this is going to be a hot topic around the hockey world in the next few days, and we'll probably discuss this at nauseum. I don't know how that was not somewhat intentional from Mark Stone. Whether he was intending to injure him is a sort of different discussion. We'll never know what his intent is. Just to be fair, this was Mark Stone's comments after the game, and he said, I quote, "I go to reach to try and angle him out, and I'm not sure who it was that tripped, and I fell forward. You never want to see guys get hurt, and I hope he's all right. I was trying to make a good play and got tripped into him." And that's where I find it a bit of a load of crap because, and obviously replay doesn't really help because it is slow-mo. I mean, you can slow down anything to make it look bad or make it look worse. But I'm sorry, there wasn't a whole lot of contact with Rope and Mark Stone's skate for me to see Stone lunging to try. And yes, he may be trying to make a play, not injure Mark Stone or injure Miro. I understand that. But you don't just lunge into a guy's lower half and try to tell me you're making a play. And I don't know. The trip, whether he got tripped, is a really soft trip. And I can understand that sort of forced him to go down. But if you're being tripped up and you're going down, I don't see how you are able to just kind of push off and lunge towards the guy's lower half. That is where I sort of get lost with the trip. I don't disagree that he was maybe tripped up, but it wasn't like it was a massive toe pick. He did toe pick a bit, and it was just an awkward play all around. I don't believe Mark Stone was intentionally injuring Miro Heiskanen on the play, but he knows what he was doing. That's That's where I have the issue with it. He knows what he was doing by diving or lunging towards his lower half. And it's the best player. Like, come on. You got tripped up. Like, Mark Stone, you're a better player than that. I know you're not that soft. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of contact for me. And it was irritating on the ESPN broadcast to hear them trying to talk themselves in to that it wasn't his fault, or he was tripped up. Like, Ray Ferrar was like having to talk himself into what happened. And it felt like to me where, Mark Stone went back and looked at it on the iPad and then was, oh, okay, now I have an excuse sort of thing. Oh, I got to see it now on the iPad. He made contact. So I have an excuse for it. And I felt like they were trying to talk themselves into that when initially Ray Ferrar was like, what is he doing? And that's where I think everybody was thinking, like, what is he doing? And I've seen from every angle. Look, there certainly is contact with Hintz and Mark Stone's skate. I'm not arguing that at all, but it's just sort of laughable to me that you can come to the conclusion that because of Hintz coming by and giving him a whack on the skate is what caused him to sort of lunge. I don't see it. I don't see it. And yes, I'm as biased as can be, but he put himself into that situation, a dangerous, dirty collision. Whether he meant to try to injure him, he knew what he was doing by trying to lunge and make a play on the puck. I'm sorry. Like, if you're going down, how many times do you see a guy going down and still being able to lunge back to his left? Like, I know he was trying, like, at first you could see he was trying to angle Miro towards the boards, and then Miro cut back. And at that moment, he tried to turn. Rope made contact with his left skate, and it opened it up, which caused him to toe pick a bit and fall. But he still, like, lunged forward. You can't do that without having your skates underneath you to some degree. I mean, and look, I don't think the replay does him any favors. And as I said, you can slow down anything. I don't know. I mean, like, he collides with his right, like, he collides with Miro's right skate. And part of it probably is it's unconscious with Mark Stone too. I don't think it was intentional to try to injure him, but I think it was one of those plays where he was falling forward and sort of lunging, and just instinctively he was trying to make a play. Which I can understand, and I don't fault him for. But it was awkward, and it did not look good. It did not look good, and it isn't good for Miro, who couldn't put a lot of weight on that left leg. I think there's just a lot of things that can be right. I think he was tripped up to some degree. Was it that much where it forces you to sort of just kind of to just dive into the guy's lower half? I don't know. I don't know. I appreciate Mark Stone for giving the PR answer. I think it could have been a 5-minute. I think it could have been a major, or at least to look at it. And maybe it wouldn't have helped because Rope got hurt, and maybe it would have got overturned. But I think if they at least give it a 5-minute major, and they actually go back and review it, then the stripes could have taken into play the trip or whatever you want to call it with Mark Stone. And then I think it would have been telling what the league has to say about it, because they would have probably been cooperating with New York and the refs, see what they think about it. And then if they dropped it down to what was a 2-minute minor, it was just a tripping minor. Okay, maybe it wasn't as severe, but if they did think it was a major, then it's a little bit of a different discussion. You can feel maybe there's some justice in there to some degree. Not that it would have been. I mean, you can't replace Miro Heiskanen. That's where that's really that's really the whole it's really the whole negative behind this entire thing. You cannot replace Miro. You can't just go get one of those type of players right now. They're just not really available. They're not available anywhere. And that's where, of course, Stars fans are so upset and infuriated. And of course, we already don't like the Vegas Golden Knights. We already don't like Mark Stone. That all adds fuel to the fire. I just think there's so much to the whole play, and it just really stinks that occurred last night. And I understand he was sort of tripped up. I just, you keep looking at full speed. It's like a dive at the guy's legs. And I know he was tripped up, but again, it's just it's hard. And maybe instinctively he's just trying to make a play and it wasn't great. So just tough stuff. Tough stuff. All righty. What now? Because the Stars' plans have changed a bit. Now with Miro Heiskanen out for the foreseeable future, hopefully not too much. We'll kind of get into that as well. We'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Game Time. Attending NFL playoff games is an unforgettable experience that brings fans together. I was lucky enough to go a few years ago when the Dallas Cowboys were in the postseason, and they actually won that game, which was awesome, against the Seattle Seahawks. Remember, Russell Wilson was on there. That was a lot of fun in Jerry World. It feels like the Cowboys are so far away from those days recently, but Game Time now has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. So you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And the great thing about Game Time Picks is filters out all the fluff. As I just mentioned, you can see the view from your seat before you buy. You have a great value for all kinds of seats around each venue. The Super Deal was especially impressive. They offer the best value for the event. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKED, own NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Hey, Locked On Stars listeners, before we get into this final segment, I do want to apologize for my absence over the last few days here to begin the week. I got just really extremely sick over the weekend and felt completely awful. And I could not bring myself to record anything. I sounded horrific and just did not have really did not have the energy to put together an episode, and I truly apologize for that. I hate missing days. I really do, but sometimes after weekends, after calling a few games, I just get beat. And on top of kind of running into some sort of virus, it was just an awful few days. So I really apologize. I know some of you reached out to me. I really apologize. I hate missing days. I really do. I never want to let you guys down. I know I can sort of be some solace for each of you sometimes, each and every day. So I apologize for missing the last few days. I'm going to make it up to you here before the end of the week. I promise we're going to get some stuff out that way to make up for the few days I missed. And so yeah, I apologize for that on my lack of content here over the last few days. So let's get into this for a bit before we call it quits today. What are the plans? Well, of course it depends on how long Miro is going to be out. It did not look good. I'll say, sort of watching him get up, I know he couldn't put a lot of weight on it, but it looked like he could possibly survive the worst. Of course, you don't know. You never know with these things just watching from video. The Stars did not have an update on him. We'll know more probably tomorrow. I think it was an off day today. We'll know more tomorrow. Well, now Jim Nill has to factor in this. And of course, Marchment and Seguin have already been out. Looks like Marchment is going to be back here rather soon. It looks like they want to try to get him into a game before the Four Nations face-off. Of course, Seguin will be out for the probably till the postseason. Well, of course, we've been kind of discussing wingers, some defensive depth here as of late. Like, JT Miller's been in conversations, those type of players. Brock Nelson, right, where you need sort of a scoring winger. But now this throws a wrench into the plans where if you're going to make a push, you're going to have to go find a top four defenseman. This doesn't put Dallas in a great spot because they're going to be desperate to some degree. I of course, I don't know the mindset or approach to general manager Jim Nill, but it doesn't give the Stars much leverage knowing that their number one defenseman is now out for the foreseeable future. We hope it's not for the rest of the season. That is a very real possibility, and we have to come to grips with that. Do you go out and you really try to find one of those type of replacements, which you're not going to find, but someone of lesser play, but can fill in, 28 minutes a night for you in the postseason without giving up or like selling your future off? No, it's just not worth it, in my opinion. If let's just say he is out long, like for the rest of the season, it's not worth it to sell it off, to sell off your future, to get one guy who's maybe a rental or maybe for a few years of control to give you a chance. But we all know you're a lesser team without Miro in the lineup. Like there is going to be some real tough discussions inside the front office now about how the Stars go about this. It is going to be extremely tough without him in the fold. The best case scenario is you maybe miss him for a few months so you can still go out and grab some depth and sort of weather the storm without him. They did that last season where Miro was out for about a month too, just about a few weeks prior to this. About last season and against Colorado, he was knocked out for about, I think, just under a month, and the Stars had to deal with that. I mean, that was pre-Tanev too, so they've had some experience with it, but they don't have a ton of options. It's nice that Lean Bichel is up, who is looking really good, by the way. But now you're going to see a lot of Brendan Smith. You're going to see a lot of Matt Dumba. I'm curious if Petrovic gets called up. Like, it is going to be replacing Miro by 3 or 4 different guys. Harley's going to have to play massive minutes, and he's been fantastic this season. So he kind of gets an opportunity to show, like, hey, I can be a number one. Which maybe is an unintended consequence of this whole thing and maybe a bright spot. But it just looks really dreadful right now because he could be done. I mean, he could be done for the season. And that is a reality that I even hate to think about. But I don't want to get there right now just because we still don't have an update. And we're going to know more here and probably a day or two once they get imaging done and all that. But it's not good. Obviously it's not good at all. So I mean, the deadline gets more interesting depending on the diagnosis of number 4. I mean, plans change a lot, and maybe you can't go all in this season. Like, maybe you can't go all in depending if he's out for the year. Like, if you're not going to see him, like, you can't go all in because you can't sell off assets to try to go for 1 year without your number one. You're just really not going to be able to replace in the at the trade. They're just, those type of players aren't out there. So will they still try to go grab some depth? Of course they will. Will they try to, get a Chris Tanev, possibly? but there's not a whole lot of leverage depending on how long Miro's out. Not a whole lot of leverage there right now. And these things can change, of course. Maybe in a few days we get the diagnosis. It's week to week. Okay, that's different, and we can find a different solution, or there's a lot more options that are now available depending on if he's week to week. It sucks that he's probably going to be knocked out for the Four Nations face-off. That stinks too. I was really looking forward to watching him and the fellow Stars Finns play together. So that stinks. You lose a world-class defenseman in that. And more importantly, it stinks for the Stars that happened last night. Just an awful, awful collision. So yeah, the plans change, and I think it makes you sort of rethink about where the Stars are after that. But we don't need to get too far ahead of ourselves until we sort of realize what's going on, and then we can sort of go from there. So we'll know more tomorrow, and I'll be right here to bring that to you. And yeah, we'll continue to discuss this for the next few days, I imagine. So that'll do it for a Wednesday edition of Locked On Stars. Again, apologize for missing the past few days. That is me. Going to have to hold myself more accountable here over the next few days. Thank you as always for love and support. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Big Friday game, another day off for the Stars tomorrow. And we'll be back on Friday to discuss the Vancouver Canucks ahead of Friday night's tilt. Have a great day, Stars fans, and we'll see you tomorrow. So long.